This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So you ready to talk about a playoff game and then talk about it, the next game being literally a week later?
It's funny, Toledo got their series done, I think, in less time than there is in between the Griffins' first two games.
Oh, AHL, we are ready to have some words with you. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis.
We are ready to preview the Calder Cup playoffs for the Grand Rapids Griffins. We are so excited to, of course, be talking about playoff hockey in Grand Rapids for the second year in a row after going so many years without it. It is truly a treat to be able to talk about playoff hockey here in Grand Rapids. Obviously, if you're tuning into this one, you know the Toledo Walleye have already swept their series. They're done. They're ready to move on to the second round, and the AHL playoffs for the Griffins are getting ready to kick off here as this episode is coming out. This is coming out to you on Monday, the day before Game 1, and a week before Game 2. We'll talk about that here in a second. We're going to check in with the boys first. Nick, after some technical difficulties, we've got you on a different mic tonight. It is not your permanent mic. We're using our mics that we use for post-game tonight for you. But hey, you're on the show. It wouldn't feel right to do a Griffins playoff preview without you, so we're glad you got you in, man. How you doing today?
I think over the off season, we're just going to try to figure out how to do Nick and AI and just AI me in here. I think it could really take over. You've got enough sound clips from me. We can load it up. I can put the game cap recaps in AI and then just shoot me on there.
I think if we do that, we'll get flamed in the comments for using AI, though.
I think the sound quality would be way better and probably less editing on your end. But
see, when you say it like that,
worst corny dad jokes will be involved. So there will be a trade-off.
That's part of the show's charm, man. Come on.
Yeah, I'm good. I had a day off today, getting adjusted to some medication, and ready to do take 2 of this.
There you go. And Travis, man, I already asked you how you were today because we recorded our Toledo round 1 recap just before this. But for the folks, man, how you doing?
Good, man. I mean, good enough. We talked about my day yesterday. We're not going to get into it again. It was an eventful day, but it's good to be back. It's good to be with all 3 of us again.
It is nice, man.
I feel like it's been forever.
It has. Well, we had Nick for half of the last Griffins episode, and then technical difficulties struck and we lost him for the second half. So we'll try to keep him for a full episode here. We'll try to keep this one down to an hour. Hopefully we want to get the boys back to their lives and get you all back ready for the playoffs here. But before we dive into the playoffs, there's a little bit of news and updates to talk about with the Grand Rapids Griffins, right? You know, a couple big assignments to the team. One from the Detroit Red Wings. They obtained Austin Watson back throughout these games that we'll recap quickly here. But of course, the news every Red Wings fan wants to talk about, Axel Sandin, Pellikka, and Michael brandsegg-nygard assigned to the Grand Rapids Griffins for their playoff run. No, I'm not going to explain the rule of why they didn't go to Detroit first to wrap up the regular season. I explained it enough on Twitter for everyone else to see. So we're not diving into that. But the excitement level of having these 2 prospects join this organization for this playoff run, this is just a huge boost in morale for the fans, for the team, for everybody. And I know all of us, we're just super excited to see these guys play.
I think Bob's, kind of set the stage last week with their arrivals. I'm not sure, since we haven't been around the team since they got here. So we haven't even had a chance to talk with the 2 guys. But either they probably got on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I know they were practicing with the boys. And it's just, Bob said it, is Red Wings Nation has just been pumped up. They're excited about it. I've been super ecstatic about Axel, more cautious towards NBN, but it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm excited to get down there, talk with them post game, and we'll have some questions ready for them. And they played really well this weekend. So
yeah, we'll talk about that in the games and talk about how they played. But I think you couldn't have said it better. Bob was like, the hockey dad following them around with the camera for practice and everything else. If you're not following him on Twitter, there was a ton of insight there. He posted exclusive interviews with them that he had, and it was cool to see. Like, the hype is real around these kids. And for that hype to really be focused on Grand Rapids with Detroit not being in the playoffs, it's just cool for the organization itself. The hype is, it's going to help put butts in seats, right? What you want in the playoffs, especially with the schedule that they have playing these weekday games. Those two names are going to draw fans in and be a huge boost. And I know, Travis, with you covering the walleye, there's a lot going on for you, but there is a certain excitement for you too, being a Red Wings fan, seeing these guys join this team.
I'm super stoked to have these two over here. I think the biggest one, I think I'm more excited for ASP than MBN. He's a different element that this team does not have. They don't have that like super offensive defenseman while can still hold his own defensively. And I think that's a piece that organizationally has got everybody excited for many reasons. And you just kind of go in and look at it's just kind of one of those things that, like, it's a youth movement, yes, and it's an injection of skill, especially with ASP. I mean, MBN's a talented player as well, but, like, there's been so much hype with ASP. Like, you've seen it with the World Juniors on, like, the national stage for, 2 years now, best defenseman of that tournament. It seems like anytime you see anything out of the SHL, his name's all over it. So it's just they're both exciting pieces. And I think the biggest thing, though, is, like, again, I think I may have said this the last time we all recorded, is, like, don't expect too much. Like, we have to be real. Like, you can't just expect these guys to come in and do what they did. And, like, for ASP, you can't expect him to come in and just tear down record books that he tore down in the SHL. It's a huge adjustment. It's a different league. Nick, don't start. It's not even. He
kind of got off to a good start though. That first game, got a point.
He got a point, but I mean, yeah, he did. But there was also some points where it's like, okay, there's still a lot of learning that he has to do.
Having this week off, skipping that play-in round, is so big for that practice time with the team to get adjusted. We saw what it did for Anton Johansson and Emmett Finney, and they had that late week off the Griffins had, and they looked like completely different players with the team after that. So assuming that we'll kind of see the same thing and see them fit right in, I think you'll see them take it to a different level. It was good to see them jump into these games that we'll talk about, but nothing is a lock, right? But what I do know is a Griffins fan, I won't take this opportunity for granted, because I think a lot of people thought ASP would make that step right to the NHL, and we never knew if we'd actually see him in a Griffins uniform. So to have that opportunity, especially in a time like the playoffs, it's just something as a fan that you've got to enjoy, because it's not every day that these first round picks will walk right in here. We didn't see Lucas Raymond jump in here. Yes, we saw Moritz Seider for a season. We got to see Dylan Larkin for a little bit during the playoffs when he was first drafted and came out. But it's kind of like the same thing. You get that injection of youth and excitement around a player going into the playoffs, and it's only going to help this team, and that's what's super exciting. And I like Nick alluded to, I can't wait to talk to these guys post-game. Based on their interviews with Bob, at least their English is pretty good, and you always worry about that when guys come over from overseas. You're like, are they going to be able to even understand the questions I'm asking? And it seems like, they've got it together, and who knows, maybe we'll make it down to a practice or two during this crazy break and be able to get some one-on-one time with them before the chaos really sets in with how much media will be present during the playoffs. We know with the Red Wings out, and these guys being here, it's just going to be this injection of media people we've never met or seen before. And being the rookies around the camp there, it's going to be tough to get our words in where we can, but we'll do our best. We'll figure it out. But there's a lot of excitement, like with the playoff roster getting to add these two. That is huge. And when you talk about also getting Austin Watson back from Detroit, and then the potential of Elmer Soderblom being back as well. He was sidelined for those last 3 games of the season for Detroit. They shut him down due to injury. And you look at the way the schedule broke down. Will we see him for game 1? Who knows? But a 6-day break between that and game 2, maybe we'll see him for game 2. But the fact you're able to add 2 first-round picks, you get a veteran back like Austin Watson who really can help, keep the room under control, keep guys accountable, and also delivers offensively and physically. And then you add Elmer out there, who was just a space-creating monster for his line mates with this Griffins team. It's really the recipe for a lot better expectations for what we might have expected with who their first round matchup is. I think that's going to help a lot going down the road, but I don't want to get too much into playoff talk yet. We have 3 games of the regular season that we haven't talked about. We're not going to bore you guys by going game by game and talk about them in depth. But, we will say the Griffins were in Rockford last Wednesday. And at this point, if, they needed to win this game to hopefully stay in that conversation where it came to that skipping the play-in round, and they go into Rockford and win that game 2-1. And the only goal we'll show you if you're watching on YouTube here where it comes to the highlights is Sheldon Dry's goal where he literally bats the puck out of midair. But with this game for the Griffins overall, the star of the game is Sebastian Cossa. If you ask me, he kept the boys in this. Rockford wasn't playing their best game overall, but Cossa really kind of stood on his head and really showed us that there's not really a lot of concern when it comes to Sebastian Cossa's performance, and played a really, really solid game to give the boys a chance to win this one.
Yeah, Cossa started off tested. I mean, we're still seeing a lot of the issues with the drop pass right above the faceoff circle in the center of the ice. And there was a couple shots right there, right away. So being tested early, I know he likes to see a lot of pucks, likes to see them early, but me personally, I don't like to see those kind of shots for him right at the beginning of the game. But he gave us a chance to win. I mean, the shots were pretty close. They were tied 29-29 throughout the game. GR had kind of a little bit more of a pressure until that third period when Rockford really turned it on. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Cossa likes to see some pucks early. I don't think he likes to see them from that spot early, but at the same time, he stood his ground, passed the test, it got the boys a chance to win, and they did. And that was a huge win to maintain that distance from Chicago, to give them, at that point, they only needed 1 point to secure third in the division. And you go into a game in Rockford on Friday knowing that, hey, we pushed this to OT, we skipped the play-in round either way, and they didn't even come close to delivering that in this game. They just kind of didn't show up, and really it was a game where you looked at what's on the line and you kind of anticipate them to come out guns blazing and really shut down Rockford. And Rockford kind of had their way with Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids did outshoot them in the first. Rockford outshot us in the second, and then the third as well. They really shut down Grand Rapids in the third period. But this was a game where Rockford had that energy. They had that speed. They were flying around us out there. It also doesn't help, though. We had some instances at the end of the second period that cost us losing 2 defensemen for the remainder of the game. But before we get into that whole kerfuffle that happened, just Nick, your thoughts on this game. The highlight might be ASP getting his first point, but overall, that was about the only darn highlight in the game.
This game, there was a lot of hype. Obviously, there was a lot of hype with this game because this was the debut of MBN and ASP for the team. I thought the boys were going to come out. You needed, a point to be able to just secure third place. This was Rockford. We've played them, 12 times already in the season. And you get to avoid playing against them in the play-in round if we just get the win or get the point. Beginning of the game, that Amadeus Lombardi and ASP connection, just chef's kiss. That connection, that first power play that they had, I was just like, this is going to be a magical. They're really, there's a connection there. There's a spark, and I'm excited to see more of it. I don't know if we'll be able to. Obviously, we'll see it more in the playoffs, but the power play, I clipped this, and ASP on the power play was just absolutely fantastic. Quarterbacking that, we had probably 7 power plays in this game, or at least 5. It felt like 5. It felt like 7 with all, as crazy as this game was, because it was very physical. But ASP walking the line, leading the team in shots in the first period with 3. I think he led the team in shots.
He did. He had 4 in the game. Yeah,
and he had 3 in the first period. It was a very physical. This reminded me of last year when these two teams played against each other as much as they did. These two teams hated each other, and Watson and Shine were out there this Friday just crushing hits against Rockford. And that's kind of what led into the second period kerfuffle.
Yeah, it really did. And this is kind of a frustrating thing when I look at this as someone trying to analyze the game and also be a fan of it. Like, it's two veteran players. Yes, they were very frustrated with Rockford. I don't know if there were words said or what it was, but anytime they were on the ice, the mission was hit and cause chaos. It wasn't go out there and score or defend. It was just cause chaos. And it was kind of like those two lost their heads a little bit in this game. And then you see this whole scenario in the second period where there's a scrum around the net of Drew Comesso. That scrum gets bigger and bigger. You have two Griffins get escorted off the ice down to the locker room because this is at the very end of the period. So now you've got guys out there that are outnumbered because those two guys are already removed from the ice. You see Anton Johansson and Shai Buyam leave the bench to try to even the odds out there for the team, which, as everyone knows, is a big no-no. And those two rookies learned a valuable lesson because that got them a game misconduct and a one-game suspension. So you look at this, and the Griffins have to go into the third period down two defensemen, two of your young, fast, quick defensemen, two big key pieces of that defense right now. And that just put the team in a bad spot there. But really, the storyline of the game is a couple of veteran players lost their cool in a game that they shouldn't have really lost their cool. And I'm not on the ice. I don't know what was said. Maybe they had a reason to lose their cool. And, at the end of the day, it's hockey and that's going to happen, but that can't happen in the playoffs. And hopefully they just got that out of their system then. And this is one of those situations where you look at Austin Watson and go, maybe that situation could have been resolved if he was allowed to fight at that point, because he was still risking the 1-game suspension if he fought. So a lot of what ifs, but again, stuff you don't want to really see from veteran guys, because it felt like they dragged the rest of the team into their frustration with Rockford, and Rockford was able to take advantage of that. And you can't do that.
If Watson fought, would he have been suspended the first game of the playoffs?
No, it would have been the game against Iowa.
Oh, yeah,
but then you think about that in general, like, okay, go down two defensemen for that game plus Austin Watson with needing to get a point on the line to skip that play. And that's just putting the whole team in a really bad position there. You can't do that. A positive I'll end with for this game, Griffin's penalty kill did go 7 for 7 in this game against a team they saw 12 times. Against the team that had a really good power play. So credit to the penalty kill on that end of the special teams there. They did go 1 for 5 on the power play too. They started to get really consistent power play production against Rockford, which you would hope with that much video available to study, they would produce on the power play. You would be able to find those vulnerable opportunities. And that power play goal was by Amadeus Lombardi from ASP and Joe Snively. So ASP got his first AHL point. Congrats to him. That's super huge, but a really frustrating result to walk out of Rockford with and go into Iowa literally the next night needing a point still.
I just want to say one thing with the whole brawl, I guess mini brawl that happened. Listen, I know the kids left the bench to do it, but credit to the kids, man. You're young players, and it's all for one and one for all. So you out there seeing guys get, roughed up, and you got two rookies going in there. One just got here, and it's like, hey, ain't gonna take no shit. Let's go, I guess.
Poor
AC and when you
gets here and then has to play the whole third period.
Welcome to the AHL.
Right. Yeah.
At least you didn't play Wednesday. Good coaching decision there, not knowing what would happen. So thank goodness for that. And when that whole scrum happened and you see Comesso in the mix, I'm like, where's Cossa? Where is he at? Is this gonna happen? Is this how we're gonna go into the playoffs here? The goalie fight's gonna happen?
Well, they already denied him once.
Right. And could you imagine that happens and you end up facing Rockford in the first round? Holy, just cinema right there. That's what that would have been.
IHL all over.
You think back, there was a line brawl between Grand Rapids and Rockford. I think it was back in 2011 or 2012, maybe. I'd have to look back. There was a full line brawl that happened, and it was one for the ages. That was one where we heard from Dog, the equipment manager for the Griffins, about yanking a coach off the bench. That's that game that we're talking about there. So when we say line brawl, even the equipment manager was involved. So that game, there's highlights of it all over YouTube. Go check them out. They're amazing. That was good classic hockey right there. Then we'll fast forward here, go back to Iowa here on Saturday. Again, still needing that 1 point to avoid 1 playing Rockford and 2 playing a best of 3 where you would have had home ice advantage, but 2 of the 3 games would have been on the road. Again, AHL classic right there. And, the boys, credit, you guys did a live stream without me during this game. Give you guys some credit there. Thanks for stepping up and doing that. We had some great special guests. We had Lars of the Swedish Winger. We had Chris of Spartan Shadows and Elaine from Graced by Rain. 3 great guests to join in there and fill in my spot. So thank you all for joining, and everyone who joined the Lions live stream. That's probably the biggest one we've done for, unfortunately, what was probably one of the most boring games of the season when you talk about highlights wise, right? A 2-1 shootout victory, which once it went to OT, I was celebrating already because we knew we had that point we needed. But yeah, guys, this game, there's really one person to talk about, right?
Nate Danielson?
I mean, he did have a really nice shootout winner there, but I think you know who I meant. It's Jack Campbell.
Jack Campbell.
Some vintage pad stacks in there. Like, just a great goaltending performance.
It was a perfect night for us to do a live stream because there was 0 highlights through the first 2 periods. The third period was literally Jack Campbell standing on his head. I actually rewatched this game Sunday, Travis, because we kind of got lost in the highlight shuffle and the goals. But yeah, Jack Campbell took over this game, stacking pads, breakaway saves. It was just, he was an odd one. He was like, we are going to the playoffs. We're getting this week off. We're gonna enjoy our time. If whatever I got to do, it seemed like this was the game. And he's played well this season. There's been a lot of times that he's played really well, and he just didn't get the win. So I was happy for him to be able to get this win, especially the way he was playing. He played fantastic. So it was good to get that column there for him.
It's huge for his confidence too. We've talked about it kind of off and on. We were kind of wondered what was going on with Jack Campbell. There was a brief period where we didn't see him start. We knew he was healthy. You saw Jan Bednar come up from Toledo and play some games, and I think just the strategy there was to get Jan some AHL games. But in the back of your mind, you're going, all right, where is Jack? And then Jack's had 2 back-to-back starts that have been phenomenal on his side of things. So that's, again, a positive thing to see, because God forbid something happens to one of your goalies in the playoffs. You got to have a backup there that can deliver. I mean, Travis, you and I talking about the ECHL playoffs, you look at Wheeling, they lose their starting goalie to Wilkes-Barre, and they're getting hemmed in by Norfolk right now because they don't have their starters. So having Jack, 1, be confident, and 2, just be ready to play, that's really big for this Griffins team going into the playoffs. But as you alluded, Nick, you got to talk about Nate Danielson because he did get the shootout winner here. I'll throw it on the screen for the YouTube listeners here. Just kind of, I want to say vintage Nate Danielson because he's so young, but this just really, in the shootouts, he's been clutch this season.
Just cold-blooded. Just, he doesn't ever celebrate either. He's just like, just skates it off. No happiness. Just, yep, here I am, did my job. Ready to go, boys.
And the patience on that move there to get around the goalie, too. To not, he goes down. All right, I'm going to shoot it. Nope, I'm going to hold on to it and wait him out. And just, again, confidence and poise and ice in his veins is Nate Danielson at this point.
We have shootout stats, right?
No, of course we don't, because the American League doesn't share any fun stats there. But just from the eye test and what we've witnessed over the season, I don't know of many shootout opportunities that Danielson has missed. He is quite consistent in the shootout at this point.
There's an element to this that's very important.
What's that?
So if you watch that video, he goes subtly from his backhand to his forehand before he outweights the goalie. And what has he done all season? He shot the puck. He has always seemingly shot the puck coming off that left side. And when he went from his left to his right, he was at about the hash marks. The goalie went down, and I think I think he had scouted Nate and is thinking shot, and then Nate just didn't shoot it. So it was like huge. Like, it's very important to see. Yeah. So watch this right there. See how he kind of like subtly made a small little move, and the goalie went straight down. I think that was kind of an instance where he shot a lot in the past, and once he went down, Nate's like, I got him. I just got to outweight him. I don't know. It's just something I noticed watching this back.
That's great analysis on that, because, yeah, you're right. As soon as he pulls back and looks like he's going to shoot, goalie goes straight to the ground.
Well, and one thing too is he's also shot to the glove side and the blocker side and scored in both instances. So in that case, it's like the goalie's like, okay, he's going to shoot. And then you see him make that little subtle movement right there. And he's like, okay, the shot's coming. So I'm going down. And credit to Nate for just knowing that once he was down, he was already out of it. Like he couldn't go nowhere. So
even the goalie's looking at him like, where'd that come from?
Right there. Yeah, he's like, who the hell was that? If you really have watched his shootouts all year, you can just see like that little subtle movement froze the goaltender, and I think that goalie was really thinking shot.
Yeah, no, that's a good call out there. That's why we keep you around, Travis, for that analysis right there, that live analysis like that. Again, the Griffins do the thing that everyone wanted them to do. Skip the play-in round because one, scheduling chaos with the situation with Rockford, who knows, arena availability with Grand Rapids. We would have either seen that series start yesterday, as we're recording this on Tuesday or Wednesday the 23rd. We would have seen them start yesterday or even start Monday, and it would have been, hey, you played in Iowa Saturday, you get one day off. Hey, game one playoffs tonight, no break. And what we get is the Griffins being able to have a full week to practice, get ASPN and MBN up to speed and adjusted to this team, and just let everyone kind of get adjusted. You're adding Austin Watson back in and potentially Elmer too, letting them get more rest time and practice. That's huge because Waddy played 3 games in 3 cities or 4 games in 4 cities and 4 nights, whatever it was, just in 2 different leagues. So that rest is huge.
You're also forgetting that we're going to be getting Cross Hannes back as well. He did travel with the team, and he was expected to play. They were hoping to have him play this weekend, but they sat him out, be a little cautious, didn't need him, which is good. Got the week off. Now he can rest up, and hopefully he's back, and he's going to – maybe we get him on for a quick podcast, give him a quick podcast bump for the playoffs.
Yeah, right. Give him another bump like we did the first time. Jeez.
Last time it worked great going into Texas.
It really did. You're right. The stars have aligned. I might have to pull him for a quick interview at practice or something. Who knows?
I like what you did there.
Anyways.
And that's why we keep Brandon around.
Sometimes I have my moments, guys.
Without Brandon, this would not be going. We've learned that twice this season already.
It's good to feel needed. Anyways, yeah. Hey, it was a fun regular season, and of course, we'll do a regular season recap at some point. We won't recap the regular season right now because there's other business to attend to, and it is playoff hockey. We're going to hit a quick ad break. When we come back, playoff preview for the Griffins versus Texas Stars first round here. And of course, give you a quick update around the AHL for what the other matchups look like and who Griffins could potentially face and who we might think the conference final matchups would be. So quick ad break and all that when we come back.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. And games left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back. All right, got to correct ourselves from the first half here. Sorry, AHL does have some shootout stats there. Nate Danielson's gone 4 for 7 on attempts, and 3 of those 4 have been game-winning goals in the shootout. So, sorry, AHL. We're just so used to you not sharing stats that we just kind of went with it. But yeah, and we even looked at some of the clips. Nick found the clips of some of his past ones real quick, and Travis spot on with the analysis there of, goes one side, goes the other, and is the exact same move except for that little pullback in Iowa and where he rips it in, or doesn't rip it in, but waits out the goalie, and we get a nice goal out of it. So, hey, good stuff, Travis. And again, sorry, AHL. I'm just assuming you don't have stats available because I'm just so used to it at this point in time in our podcasting life. Let's talk playoffs here. I'm going to throw the playoff schedule on the screen for the YouTube viewers here, because we're going to talk about this schedule first before anything else.
So we got playoffs for like Friday, Saturday, right?
No, of course not.
They're away because we're the underseed, right?
No. So remind you here, Texas has home ice advantage in this round. They finished second in the Central. So 3 of the 5 games, because it is a best of 5, because the AHL can't figure out a playoff format. Yeah, for frickin' real. Get rid of this play-in round and go back to a normal format. That's all I'll say about that. But this schedule itself, Game 1 in Grand Rapids on Tuesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. A Tuesday game. That's just painful in itself. It's going to be very hard for the Griffins to get butts and seats for that. Thank God they've got a couple first-round draft picks that just joined the team and haven't played in front of fans here yet. That'll hopefully drive attendance there. But this is not a great scenario right off the bat. And then you look at the schedule and go, all right, when's Game 2? How about Monday, May 5th, the next week? You've got 6 days between Game 1 and Game 2. What the hell?
And they're in the same city, right?
Yes, they're both in Grand Rapids. Thank you, Nick, for clarifying that.
Is Texas flying home after Game 1 and then coming back?
Dude, for real, though. I've never seen something like this before.
I'm going to let you two go first on this, because my thoughts on this, I'm going last.
So, I mean, my biggest thought with this is, one, it's stupid, obviously, right? Like, this 6-day break is dumb. Like, Travis, you just alluded to Texas flying home during the break. Like, who knows? At this point, they might, who knows? Rest can be positive. It can also be negative for a team. You can use rest as a weapon, or it could also screw you over. The coaching staff has the biggest challenge ahead of them here, because how do you keep the playoff intensity alive during a 6-day break? Like, you're going to come into Game 1 after having a week off already, and you've got to ramp up the intensity to a whole nother level, and then somehow keep that momentum for a whole week of practice to come out for Game 2. What, again, the rest could be positive. Like, let's say Cross-Hannes isn't ready to go for Game 1. Maybe a week later he will. Let's say Elmer's not ready to go. Maybe he will be ready in a week later. But, dude, this is like, I don't know. If I was the coach, I'm screaming at somebody at this point, wondering what the heck's going on. Because not only is it that, you have the Monday Game 2, and then Friday Game 3, which, you know, there's some travel in there. Hopefully the Griffins leave Tuesday, and they're ready to go for Game 3, being in Texas Wednesday and Thursday already. But then between Game 3 and Game 4, it's a back-to-back. And then you got Game 5 Monday with 1 day off in between. Like, the thing that scares me the most here is just risk of injury.
For the second round?
Yeah.
I could see that. So the play-in round, I do like the play-in round. I just feel like it needs to just be like one game. Like what MLB baseball does. They go to one game. That's you get in.
They do it.
That's not how they do it.
They used to do it this
way. The wild card's best of 3 at the higher.
How do you get in the wild card when it's at the end of the season? What was it? I think the Tigers were in this position at one point. Like, they played
tied. The Twins. Yeah,
they had to do the 183rd game to figure out who was. They should do, and like I think basketball does this now too. They play one game, you figure it out, they go on to the next. They do the playoffs. Looking at this, I've been so stuck with the NHL playoffs that I was like, oh yeah, this is a 7-game series, just like the ECHL does in the first round too, right? Wrong. We're Game 5. We have 5-game series in this. It's weird that we're starting home on a Tuesday, Monday, 6 days apart as well. That, and I get it. We looked at the schedule, Brandon and I. We looked at it. It's graduations this weekend at Van Andel. We've got. Is there concerts or just graduations?
There's a concert that Monday at Van Andel, which also terrifies me because we've been told, you know, the ice in Van Andel hasn't been that great over the season with how much is going on there. And you're going to have the ice covered for a full week, plus that concert literally the night before. That terrifies me for that example right there of just the ice being crap. Hopefully it can be up to par for, you know, a playoff game that the next night. There's just so much going on with this. I think the main point you're trying to make there is, why can't the AHL figure it out and run it? Like, the ECHL can run a typical playoff format, why can't the AHL? And I know there's NHL hands in this. Like the GMs want their teams playing, their players, their prospects playing important games. Let's be real. The play-in round's not important games. Like just let them. If your team itself isn't good enough to get into a typical playoff format, you got other problems to address. Like that's where you got to start there.
It's I'm trying to think of my thought there, but we'll pass. I think a lot of it's going to change, hopefully, is when this new soccer stadium gets built and they're able, or the amphitheater gets built, where they can move some of these events over to there, because the building availability will be better for Van Andel for these games to be properly scheduled and these events to be properly scheduled. I think that will help free up a lot of this. We're 3 years away for the soccer stadium. I think we're maybe 2 years away for the amphitheater moving forward. But this break in the time from game 1 to game 2, it is crazy. I don't understand why they couldn't have just flew to Texas for Thursday's game, or Friday, and then bring it back to GR. Like maybe that could have been an option instead of having a week off. My hope with this break is that we do get rested up. Cross Yanis is back. Elmer's back and ready. I saw Elmer was skate today, and this team really gels together is what I'm hoping for on this, because this team never really gelled because we got picked apart so much this season from Detroit, of Watson going up, Scheid going up, Elmer going up for a while, and they never really got comfortable. And now you're adding MBN, ASP. We got nobody from college coming over. And then we had kids at the trade deadline. We picked up a player too. So all of this moving around, all these pieces, hopefully this helps bring this team together, the chemistry, the timing, and you can really dial in this power play as well through this week or 2 weeks that we have. That's my hope.
I'm right there with you in the hope that they do come together, like we alluded to earlier, with even just the week off, not being in the play-in round, how huge that was for, MBN and ASP to acclimate themselves to this roster. But you don't need another week between game 1 and game 2. I feel bad for the Griffins marketing team having to keep fans engaged during this time. Like, it's going to be a challenge for everybody. And you just hope that there's enough hype around everything that fans will show up for this. And you got to remember, if you miss game 1 and game 2, there's a chance you don't see them back, with those 3 games being in Texas to round it out. And that's just a thought you don't want to have. And there's also, the Griffins could win game 1 and game 2, and there's the reverse sweep that can happen. We've seen it. It happened with Milwaukee a season or 2 ago, and there's a lot of weird scenarios that can happen with this. But it's just overall comes down to go back to a regular frickin' playoff format.
Yeah.
Like that's the main storyline here. Is this is stupid. The fact that your best of 7s don't start till the conference finals in this league. This is the second tier league in pro hockey in North America. Come on. Travis, I know you have thoughts and opinions. Share them. What do you got?
Travis has a lot of thoughts. First of all, the play-in round is stupid. And if you can't make the playoffs, build a better team. Like, come on. You shouldn't need basically a participation playoff round to make the playoffs just because you want your prospects to be playing games. You want your prospects to play games? Build a better roster. Don't know what to tell you other than that. It's plain and simple. And then we get into this schedule. Oh, my God. And then, okay, not even into the schedule yet. The format itself is stupid, right? Play-in round, best of 3 with travel. That's dumb. And then you get to the first round of the playoffs, best of 5. Dumb. Like, come on. Best of 7 all the way through. None of this 2-3, none of this 3, 3-2. Like, come on. 2-2-1. If it's going to be best of 5, it should be 2-2-1. Like, figure it out. Texas should be at home the first 2 games, then back in GR for 2, and then back in Texas. You want to get these guys acclimated to an NHL lifestyle? Get them playing games in a system that they're going to play in the playoffs if they make it in the NHL. This isn't hard. I get building availability, but come on, at some point you gotta figure it out. And if it was up to me, it'd be best of 7, 2-2, 1-1-1. But if you're gonna do best of 5, it should be 2-2-1. It's not that difficult. And the fact that you're gonna have a 6-day break after having a week off is a joke. And I get it's all building availability. I'm sorry, I'm kind of being a little hostile right now, but it's a little pathetic that the Walleye's second round of the playoffs is going to be what?
Before
Two games in.
Two games in. 2 games in before the Griffins play game 2 of this series. Like, that's a problem. You're going to have this going into the end of June. Like, I love hockey in the summer, but like, guys, this should be done by the second week of June. And your first round should have started this week. Your second round should be starting probably the week that, in the middle of what is the second round. It's just silly to me. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what are we doing here? Like Brandon said, it's the second tier of professional hockey in North America. And we have this crazy formats, a play-in round that's just baffling to me.
It's exciting.
The ECHL has it more figured out than the American League. And look, I like the ECHL. I mean, Toledo's my hometown team, so I've always kind of liked the ECHL. It's an affordable option for families. And, you're starting to see teams use the ECHL to develop players. But, like, come on. How does the third-tier pro league have this figured out better than the second-tier pro league? Like, this is an issue.
It's baffling.
Is it because, like, our divisions, we have so many, like, with 7 teams, we have some with 5, we have some with...
Yeah, that's some of it. Figure out the division.
Yeah, and they can figure that out. You could realign it. We have the same amount of teams as the ECHL does and the NHL. Like, come on.
We do?
Oh, sorry, the same amount of teams as the NHL. I know the ECHL, I think, is still 2 teams behind.
So you have 32 teams, and you have, what, 7? Is there 7 divisions, or 5 or 6?
There is 4 divisions.
And one has, what, a dozen damn near?
Yeah, the Pacific Division has, I think, 10 in it.
That's a joke. Like, come on. Figure this out. And I get
when you look at it,
costs.
too, like the Pacific Division with the play-in rounds, like in the Central, there's 3 teams that are set and not playing that. In the Pacific, there's only 1. Like, how is that fair across the board? I don't know how any organization signs off on this and thinking, like, it's a good idea.
And I get that there's travel costs, but then do it like the ECHL. Top 4 get in, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. Yes, some teams are going to make the playoffs in divisions that wouldn't make it in other divisions. I'm sorry. Build a better team. Like, again, it goes back to that. It's basically tough shit. Like, I hate to, like, just crap on the AHL, but, like, what are we doing? Like, when you have a league below you have it figured out, the AHL's got to figure this out.
Yeah, the divisions should be reset. Like, honestly, the Griffins, in the way the AHL is set up, the Griffins should be in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, probably should.
They should be playing teams like Cleveland and Toronto and Rochester and Syracuse in their division. And, of course, you can throw one of the Chicago teams in there, too. But at the same time, like, you can restructure it. The Pacific has 7 teams. The Central has 5. The North has 5. And the Atlantic has 6.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I just don't understand. Go ahead, Nick.
I think there's just an issue all the way around with the teams in the playoffs and seeding. Because even the NHL, I don't like the way that's seeded. I feel...
Yeah, that's a joke too, but...
That's a mess.
Yeah,
and
that's a different story.
Can we just line everything up from top to bottom, NHL to ECHL? Everybody's got their teams. I always joke that Columbus doesn't have an ECHL team, but just line it up top to bottom. Have these kids, like, just like Detroit, put Grand Rapids in the same division as Detroit is. You're gonna grow rivalries that way, one way or another. Like, these guys are gonna hate each other in juniors, and they're gonna hate each other in the pros. Like,
yeah, like Texas should be in the same division as Tucson.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
Match up better. I don't know who we got to talk to or how this has to happen or who the complaints go to, but
well,
it's NHL GMs.
Well,
they
some of
wanted their
it's-
prospects playing important games. Important.
playing important
Yeah.
joke. But some of it too is like where they're at, right? Like, listen, I'm gonna sound like an idiot, and that's fine. I don't really care. When I realized that isn't Springfield St. Louis's affiliate,
Yes.
I thought that was Springfield, Missouri.
And it is not.
It's Springfield, what, Massachusetts?
Yep.
What the hell are we doing? Like, I'm sorry, but like, this is a discussion we can have, like maybe, I don't know, a Patreon episode or something, but like, the alignments are weird, the playoff format's weird, the affiliations are
weird.
Yeah, everything's just weird. Like, I don't, like, look, I'll just say this straight up, to be honest, and I know we've kind of gone on a rant, not really related to the playoffs, but like, honestly, it should be Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Detroit. Like, and it should be Detroit, or it should be Toledo, Cleveland, Columbus. Like,
Yeah.
I veto that just for personal reasons.
no, I know, and I'm just saying, like,
I said this year
travel
one.
wise and a closeness to your
Yeah.
affiliations, that would make more sense.
You could
but
even do Kalamazoo, Rockford, Chicago. Like that
you could, yeah.
can even make sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to go about it, but just to tie it all back in, like,
Yeah.
playoff format's a joke right now.
It is. You think about it too, with the way this is scheduled. Almost every year, the Calder Cup's being awarded a week or two after the Stanley Cup's been given out.
That's
Like,
a
That's
problem.
It is. Like, the sparkle of a hockey championship is gone once the big shiny trophy's gone. Like, it should
Yeah.
go in the other order there. Like, we should be all looking at these at the same time and not 2 weeks later going, oh, hey, Hershey won the Calder Cup. Nobody cares because everyone thought hockey was done. It's
Like-
dumb.
Like, look at last year. Wasn't the Stanley Cup final going on when the West final was like, or the Western Conference final was like Milwaukee and Coachella? Because I think you were like talking about it. Wasn't that the matchup last year in the West?
Yeah. Yep.
And we
yep.
were talking about that during the Cup final, I'm pretty sure. So it's like,
We
what
were.
are we doing?
It loses the hype. It loses, like, you want more fans to care about the AHL. Change this, fix this, realign the divisions, change the playoff format back, and everyone will be happy. I'm sure travel costs will suck for some teams, but you know what will also come with that? More people in the seats because people will give a crap.
I mean, I don't know if travel will actually be better because, like, Grand Rapids to Texas, Grand Rapids to Manitoba, like, it doesn't compute. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
And like Travis said, the rivalries, like, imagine the Cleveland one already exists just because we happen to play them so many times throughout a season, and that'll continue into next season too. But like, just imagine instead of playing Rockford 12 times, we're playing the Monsters 12 times, and what that would be
Selfishly.
like.
Selfishly, I want that to happen.
Yeah. Or go back to playing the Marlies. Like, Grand Rapids should be
Yeah.
playing Toronto. The Detroit Maple Leafs rivalry is there. Like, carry it over. You can carry all that over into the AHL if you're smart.
Grand Rapids, Belleville Senators. Come on.
Dude,
Like,
for real, though.
It's right there.
It
And,
is.
like-
And then that carries into the NHL with the intensity later on, too, when they're playing those same teams so much.
And if you went to a 1-4 format, 2 and 3, like, you're probably gonna be playing the same handful of teams as teams go into rebuilds and out of rebuilds, like the mushy middle, like kind of where some of these teams are. You're gonna see that like continuing just to grow. So like, again, like, I know we probably sound like we've gone on a rant about something stupid because it's not really the playoffs, but it all factors into the playoffs, and it goes back to scheduling and formations and alignments. It's just like, I don't know. To me, it's weird. The week off after game 1 to game 2 is just baffling. Like,
Never seen anything like it.
you would think that the team that has 2 championships there would outweigh anything else that's going on, but I don't know. To me, that's how I think about
Money
it.
talks.
but I guess. I mean, I made a funny comment that I can't say on air, but
We'll
It's
save
still-
that for a Patreon.
it still rings true. I still vote that way.
All right, moving on from that, let's talk about the actual first round for the Griffins here, because you can't. They say the play-in round is the first round. This round is technically the second round, so sure, you get a first round bye. So the second round of the Calder Cup playoffs with the Texas Stars and the Grand Rapids Griffins, and we're going to talk about what we think the keys to this series are going to be, and I'm going to lay out a couple for you guys, and you guys just let me know what you think. The first key is solving Texas goaltending and what that could potentially look like. Texas could roll a rotation. Their goalies' numbers are basically identical, and they roll the rotation for most of the season. And when I say they're basically identical, it's like 0.1 apart for most of the stats between Remy Poirier and Magnus Hellberg. And if they're going to roll a rotation, that'll be interesting to see for Grand Rapids. We don't see it a lot in the pros. We know Toledo does it, but at the same time, it's not very common. If we're assuming we're going to see the guy that played more games, and that's Magnus Hellberg through all of this, with Magnus, you get a different guy every night, it feels like. You can get NHL Magnus, and you can get a guy trying to still save his North America hockey career. So solving goaltending, I think, is going to be the first key. And the second key is what you and I have talked about it in Texas game recaps. It's slowing down Texas and playing our game. Texas has guys that have owned the Griffins throughout this season. Matej Blumel, Artu Huru, Justin Ritzkovian, Austin Strangis. Like, those are guys that at one point in the season had 70% of Texas's points against the Griffins. So we've seen what the Griffins can do when they slow down Texas. Their most recent Friday night game at Vandal they played. Nick, you hate the style of hockey where the Griffins slow down play and control it, but they're going to have to do that because that is a game they should not have won on paper, and they walked away with a win. That's what they're going to have to do against Texas, but maybe you guys have different opinions than me.
I would say you're right on with the goaltending. We got to figure out either Remy or Magnus, whoever is going to be in that, because it seems like all year long we've always played a hot goaltender at the right time. So figuring one of them out, that's going to be important. The second thing I would say is, like you said, it's going to be slow, gritty, physical style is going to keep us in this game because Texas is so fast. Like, I hated it. I hated watching that game. And as soon as we adjusted that first period and played a faster style, we got walked. Like, we just, in our own building, it was terrible. So if we could, those are two good ones. I'm going to throw a third one at you. It's going to be that power play. we got to figure out the power play. If we're going to do a slow, gritty, physical style, we have to make them pay on the power play. And our power play, it's getting better these last 12 games, I think, or 12. Yeah, about 12 games. It is on the upswing. ASP coming in, MBN coming in. Those are two power play guys that could do a lot of damage. So I would have thrown power play at you for a key of the game.
Travis?
I'm going to combine two of what you said with one stone. Your power play is going to solve the goaltending issue, I think, or the goaltending problem with them scoring on Texas. I think that you got to kill two birds with one stone. You got to have an elite power play kind of take over. And I think the big thing here, like, we need Cossa from the beginning of the season. Like, he's a big piece here. What, Mr. Shake of the Head? What?
So Cossa, the fans have been wanting. They think Cossa has not been good since he's been back from Detroit. I shared in the group. The numbers are very similar to last year. They're right there. They had a great year last year. I know everybody wants to see a little bit of an improvement, but this team is so different from last year as well.
Hang on a second, Nick, because statistically, since he came back, he has not been the same goaltender as he was before he went to Detroit.
He had really good stats at the beginning of the season that carried those stats to make it similar to last season.
If you look
at
the
played in November.
Nick, look at the splits from beginning to end. They're two different goaltenders. They're
he
way
played in
different.
Detroit in like November. That's so long ago.
He was so good in the beginning of the season. He was at like a .925 save percentage, and he's probably hovering around 9. Brother, he's probably hovering around 900 since he came back. That's like a 25-point difference.
The Griffins were a different team back then too. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the team in front of him has to play better.
He's gonna have to steal some games, I think, though. Like,
he's going to.
He's going to. It's playoff hockey. He's got to go to that next level.
And that's the beginning of the season.
Look, I think the pressure at this point's never been higher on Sebastian Cossa. One, because the Red Wings aren't playing in the playoffs. Like the eyes are on him when it comes to the organization. Obviously, they're going to be there watching other players too, but the Red Wings brass will be there in full effect for watching these games.
Yzerman's eyes will be on him.
He's going to have so much pressure on him, and living up to that and being who he is as a goaltender. Like, we know what Sebastian Cossa can be. And when this kid is dialed, he is dialed in. And I expect to see him show up dialed in. And I think, you can't say one guy changes everything, but ASP being on defense on this team, if there's a defenseman that doesn't like to keep the puck in his own end, it's ASP. He's very good at transitioning out of his own end, and I think that's going to help the team a lot. And I think Anton Johansson's been a huge surprise for this organization as well and stepped up in a big way. You can see how much Coach Watson trusts him with some of the situations he's already been put in. So that's going to help a lot of things. And again, this week off to adjust to each other is going to be huge, to be able to communicate with the defensemen. Nick, you and I saw it a lot last year with him and Simon Edvinsson. Those talks after plays where you're seeing them kind of coach each other up. That's going to be key to be on the same page as your defenseman. So I think you will see beginning of the season Sebastian Cossa. But yeah, you can argue that the stats did drop off there, but so did the entire team. So I'm not saying that Cossa is going to make or break the series, but at the same time, he can make the series even better by stealing a game or two.
You got to make their depth beat you. Look, 4 guys have ruined this team all year. You can't let their top guys win the series for them. If you go in there and if say they go 5 games and lose, and you've kept their big guns off the score sheet, okay, somebody else beat you. Shit happens. You've taken their key players out of the game, and other players for them have stepped up.
I don't think that's going to be an issue, because Grand Rapids is getting so much depth now with Elmer, Watson. You got Cross coming back. Like, you're going to be able to, and now you got BN. Like, you're able to slot, and you got Finney. And Finney's been playing really well the last.
No. I'm saying too. Make Texas's depth beat you.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is, like, our depth is better than their depth, and so I think
I wouldn't say that. Texas is a deep team, and it's a deep organization. And let's be real, something could happen in the middle of this, and Texas could get 2 guys back from Dallas, because by the time this series starts, the Colorado-Dallas series could be over.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's only 2 guys, but at the same time, it could be a difference maker.
Well, we've seen what one can do in Toledo.
So, it's very true. Like, the depth, you got to make the depth step up in Texas. And I think it's going to come through a lot of guys stepping up in Grand Rapids. Look, playoffs bring out a new gear in every single player. Everybody ramps it up a notch. We need to see the Griffins do what Toledo did and ramp it up 2 or 3 notches. And I'm confident that this team and coaching staff can do that. And how long can they sustain it? I think that's going to be the big question mark, because if you get through this round, the chances are you're going to walk into that next round against Milwaukee, who is no joke to play against, especially with how much depth they got back from Nashville. Like, they got everybody back, but basically Zach LaRue at this point. And that's a scary thought. Milwaukee has a good chance to do a deep run this year, but there's going to be hopefully one team in their way, and hopefully that's Grand Rapids. And even with a full lineup, the Griffins have been able to expose some weak areas on that team. You just got to count on not running into a red-hot Matt Murray, because when that goaltender's on fire, good God, it's a nightmare. You could be out there playing your best game of your career, and that guy somehow figures out how to shut down a team. You can't let that happen. And that's obviously looking very far ahead and making it out of this first round. This is probably the biggest first round challenge the Griffins have run into in a very long time, with playing Texas right off the bat. And if you get through this and you can get through that next round, it might feel like the mountain's hard to climb, but it might feel a little easier by what you just overcame too. So either way, my prediction for this series for the Griffins, it's going 5 games. This is going to be a grind, and it's going to be a tough one, but boy, is this going to produce some really fun hockey to watch. Like, Red Wings fans might be sad the Wings are out. I hope you're paying attention to Grand Rapids, because this is going to be a fun ride. These are 2 really, really good franchises that have been very good for a lot of years in this league. I'm super excited, even though it's probably the second toughest test in the league to face. I'm really excited to watch it happen. What do you guys think? What's your prediction? I'm saying Griffins in 5.
I wouldn't say it's going to go 5. We looked at regular season stats. They were dead
even.
split. Yeah, dead split, dead even. So
3-3 if you take out the overtimes.
Yeah, I still feel like our depth is going to be better than Texas. I feel like we have more experience as well that we could draw on with Jack, Josiah, Lashoff, Snively, Rafferty. I know Lashoff's coach, but that still helps. And
Yeah.
Watts has been in the playoffs for 20 freaking years or something like that. So I think a lot of that with our new guys, I think we'll go 5. It's going to be a tight series. I could see Texas just giving us game 1 and be like, you know what, let's just turn around. We've got game 2, and then the rest of them are kind of in a momentum. So I think that game 1 will be key, and hopefully we can take care of home ice, get those first 2, go back to Texas, get that third one. But it's going to be crazy. But I still think it'll probably go 5.
Travis?
I think if the Griffins win, it's in 5. And I think if the Stars win, it's in 4. That's kind of where I'm at. And I say that just for the simple fact that I think the Griffins have to win both at home.
Yeah.
I think if they don't win both at home, they're going to face a very tough uphill battle. And I say that because if you got to go out there and win 2 games, I think that's a tough task.
I'm
Or
in the
3.
opposite camp here.
I know they're better on the road.
Sure. Even without that, I kind of hope the Griffins don't go into Texas with a 2-0 lead. I think that instills a different level of confidence this roster probably shouldn't have. Like this team, when they get complacent, it's bad. And we've seen that so many times with blown leads in games this season. When they get complacent, they're not a good hockey team. And they've got to figure out how to overcome that. So there's part of me that, yes, I hope they win game 1. And there's part of me that kind of hopes they drop game 2, honestly. And so they can go in there with a little bit of fire under them and not get complacent. Because my fear is they go in there with a 2-0 lead and the reverse sweep happens because they got complacent in game 3.
If we're going to lose a game, I hope it's game 2.
That's what I said.
Or game 1.
I'm the opposite thinking of that. I think you got to come out and bring up your confidence knowing that, okay, we can beat these guys. And I hope game 2 is one of those knockdown, drag them out, maybe an overtime game. And then you go into game 3 going, okay, we know we can beat them. We've beat them once. Let's beat them on home ice here. And that's where I think it goes 5 because I feel like they lose game 4 and then win game 5. That's just my thoughts on it. It's just, if this team doesn't play complacent, they could sweep them. If this Griffins team goes in there with full energy, guns blazing every game, you could sweep Texas. You easily could. They just cannot ever let a moment of complacency, or whatever the frick the word is at this point. We've recorded 2 episodes today. They can't get comfortable, and they've got to be pedal to the metal every game and bring that intensity for a full 60 minutes every single game. Travis, you and I literally just said Toledo's probably played a full 60 in 2 or 3 of their 4 games. I don't know if we've seen the Griffins play a full 60 this season besides that 8-3 or 8-4, whatever it was, win over Rockford that one Friday night. If they can play like that every game, see you in the 3rd round.
I think so. Where I'm at with this, like I said, the Griffins win. I think the Griffins will win in 5. If they win, it'll be in 5 games.
Yep.
I think that they would win game 1. They'd drop 2 and 3, and then they'd be backs against the wall, and you see some big time performances from their veterans to keep them alive in game 4, and then game 5's a coin flip, which I think you have the momentum going into game 5. For Texas, though, like if they win in 4, I think it's largely just because I think they could lose game 1 and then just rattle 3 in a row. Like win game 2 and then the games get tighter, like as far as how close they are in proximity. So your momentum's going to roll. So like if they were to win game 2 Then they're going home, game 3, bam. And then all of a sudden it's game 4 and it's like, boom, done. Like, that's where I feel like one team could get on a roll. That's where I hate 5-game series, boys. Like,
Well, also a week break doesn't help too, because you could learn a lot from game 1, and then you could see a different team in game 2. It's gonna suck.
horrible.
But at the same time, you just got to count on the coaching staff to get the boys ready and keep them ready. Like that's all we can hope for. And if we're any other head coach in the league, maybe I'd be concerned. But I mean, Waddy's been here before. He knows this. He's never missed the playoffs as a head coach. He knows what to do. He knows the recipe for success. So I'm confident in that. It's just keeping the boys going once they get going. They just got to get going.
Who's a wild card you guys have for the Griffins in this series? Like, who are you expecting to have good series, and then who's a wild card?
I'm expecting Nate Danielson to turn it up a notch and really just outplay everybody. I believe Amadeus Lombardi will have a great series as well. Who's going to surprise me? I think Emmett Finney's going to shock a lot of people in the playoffs. I think we're going to see. We've already seen him turn it up to another notch after that week off and came back in, and his first assist, his first goal, like all that stuff was really good. Just his play off the puck has been fantastic too. I think he surprises a lot of people for being such a late round draft pick.
This is Emmett Finney's time, to be honest. Like his style is playoff hockey. Everything on the draft report for him is the guy has a motor. He does not stop. So I'm expecting him to kind of break out, I guess I could say. I mean, I'm already, and I could throw Danielson in there as well as like taking it to that next level. This playoffs, here he is. Like he did that last year in juniors. Like his play went another level with the Winterhawks. So we could see that. I'm expecting Snively, Dries, Watson, Shine, those guys and Elmer to bring it. We've seen this team with those guys really like hold it down, and Amadeus, he's picked it up when those guys went up to Detroit. So those guys right there, they have to have good series. They have to have good games. So I would say Finney, and then another wild card I kind of want to throw out. I'll circle back to me. I'm going to throw another one out there.
Travis, who do you think?
So expecting to play well, I think you're going to see big games from Ammo. I think that's kind of a well-known thing. And my wild card's Cross.
Ooh.
He's had a little bit of a rough second half with some injuries. But look at what
he does
happened.
Love playing Texas.
He loves playing Texas. And he's from Texas. I just think that if he gets in, like granted, he's going into this series a little banged up and coming off of an injury. If he gets into the lineup, I think he's gonna be I'm not saying like impact player. I'm saying like, I think back to last year, and like when the Panthers went to the Cup final, they talked about Tarasenko there, and Paul Maurice was like, "I don't need 7 goals from you in a series. I need 1 or 2." I feel like Cross is like, I don't need 5-6 goals from Cross. I need 1 or 2 big ones. And I like
that.
I feel like he could be a guy that quietly shows up and has a big series. And another guy that I'm kind of like dark horse to have a big series, Tumisto.
Ooh.
Like, I just think there's something there. Now, granted, the ASP thing kind of levels that out, but you look back to the end of the year, where did he finish the season towards the end? He was playing third pair minutes. He was on a third pair. That's a pretty, I mean, he's played some impactful minutes. And if you get him out there against the right people, he's got a heavy shot. I think he could surprise a few people in this series.
And mind you, he led defenseman on this team in points with 27 in 67 games, with Shai Buyan behind him at 25.
There's all this glitz and glamour about ASP coming in and tearing the house down, and it's like, let's not forget who got us here. Like,
if there's a guy with something to prove.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, Wally, he's got something to prove. Yeah, there's a lot of second-round picks on this team, defensively and up front. And honestly, I would even say Seager. Like, if he's in the lineup playing bottom 6 minutes, he was up there.
He's a good center, man.
He was up there in goals this year for the Griffins.
He hit the double digits. And he's, late in the season here, goals in back-to-back games there for a hot second. Like, yeah, he could be a guy too. We could sit here and name the whole roster because you look at the roster and you go, damn, it's a pretty good roster. Like, there's a lot of guys here that could deliver, and the depth is there. So
that's just where
be interesting to see.
A couple dark horses for you.
I like it. Let us know in the comments who you think the dark horse will be for the Grand Rapids Griffins here. I even could have tossed in, Andre Becker in that mix here. He could be a guy that could turn it to another level too. So,
Nick, who did you have?
I said Finney.
No. He said he had one. Come back to him.
Oh, that's right. Nick had one more to add.
Have?
So, I think this rest was super important for one player specifically because this was his first pro year. And I think a little bit of energy or maybe a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, Mr. Shai Buyam. I think you could see something a little bit more offensively from him as well with the amount of depth that we have. His brother being in the NHL playoffs, he needed this break. He was kind of hitting the wall. He kind of slowed down a little bit. So this week,
maybe that's why he hopped off the bench.
Yeah,
he needed a break.
He got extra break too there. So
he looked at Anton and said, "Want a day off? Let's do this."
Yeah, let's get that little vacation started. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of step up as well as a dark horse on the defensive end. I would just want to give one for the forwards and one for the defense. But Becker is a good choice too. And Seager. When those kids are going, it's and I think they'll be slotted in our better positions now that we have this depth. So they could. That's really going to be the battle, I feel.
That's not saying guys we didn't pick as dark horses we didn't already expect to perform in the playoffs too. You know what I mean? There's some expectations around a few guys to deliver in these playoffs and play big minutes and produce in big games with big results. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited for this series. Let us know your predictions in the comments and what you think is going to happen. Nick, you had one final thought you want to add?
I was going to go with Tim Gettinger. He's kind of on a hot streak lately too. But
hey, if we play the Monsters in the finals, he's my ride or die MVP for that round. Let's be real.
Yeah, I think that's true.
How many games do they play in the finals?
They do play 7. Best of 7 starts in the conference finals. And then speaking of the Monsters and the rest of the league, let's pop up the Calder Cup bracket here for everyone watching. Let's kind of run through and just kind of update who is playing who in these best of 3s and best of 5s. So let's update you on who else is playing in the Calder Cup playoffs here in the Atlantic Division. In the best of 3 first round, you got Providence and Springfield, and Wilkes-Barre and Lehigh Valley. Now, mind you, we're recording this on Wednesday the 23rd. Most of this action has kicked off tonight, and we really won't have any series updates for you. We'll have those next episodes for you guys. The first round buys in that Atlantic Division, Hershey and Charlotte got those there. They both await the winners of those previous matchups, as I mentioned. In the North Division, you got one best of 3 going, Toronto and Cleveland, which should be must-watch hockey, honestly. It'll be a really fun round to watch. You got Rochester and Syracuse already set in the best of 5 second round there, with Laval awaiting the winner of Toronto and Cleveland. Either one of those, God, if it's Toronto and Laval, it's going to be great hockey, honestly. Laval has an incredible fan environment. It's basically the mini Montreal. It's going to be insane. You go to the Central Division, as we've already talked, Texas and Griffins already in that best of 5 there. Milwaukee awaits the winner of the Rockford-Chicago series, the team who is from Chicago and the team who thinks they're from Chicago. In that face-off there, should be a fun matchup to watch. And then in the Pacific Division, as we mentioned earlier, only one team gets that first round bye, and that is the Colorado Eagles, and they await the winner of the Abbotsford-Tucson series there. Maybe, I don't know, it'll get reseeded. Who knows? I think it's actually the lowest seed, so if Tucson did win that, they would be playing Colorado. So Abbotsford and Tucson, you got hockey in the desert happening for the playoffs, and then you've got Ontario, San Jose, and Coachella, Calgary happening in this one. When this graphic was made, those rounds weren't set, so if you're wondering what that looks weird there, that's what that is. Some fun matchups across the league. I'm going to throw one last curveball at you guys before we end this show here. Who do you think is playing in the conference finals for the East and the West? And obviously, you have to say the Griffins are going to be in the West because this is a Griffins podcast. And if you don't, you'll be voted off the show by the fans. So, Travis, I'm going to go to you first here. Who do you think's coming out of the East and the West in the conference finals?
Oh, boy. Let's see here. I'm going to go. So I have to name the East final and the West final?
Correct.
Ooh. Charlotte and Laval. And in the West, I will go Griffins because you guys will murder me if I don't say the Griffins. And show me some Barracuda.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Askarov, he's got insane numbers in the American League this year. What's to say a goalie couldn't carry a team? And I'm probably going to be way wrong because I haven't watched much AHL action this year. I've barely been able to keep up with the Griffins with the schedule, but that I'm going off the board. And if you want an ideal final for me, what I want to happen, Griffins and Checkers.
Wait, that's just selfish because you could potentially go to one of those games in Charlotte.
Yeah, why not?
All right, Nick, what do you got, man?
I've got Hershey, Cleveland. I'm going Milwaukee. I think with all of their additions from Nashville, it's going to be Milwaukee. And then
he's voted off the show, folks, just like that.
Just trying to get that early vacation. If the Griffins do beat Milwaukee, then we're winning the whole thing. Like I'll be honest there. And then at the bottom, I'm going Coachella. I like the Coachella Firebirds. And in the finals,
do like Coachella.
I do like.
Yeah, it's like he likes
Firebirds.
the Kraken or something.
Yeah,
right.
Big Kraken fan here. Finals is probably going to be Hershey, Coachella, round 2.
Oh, that would be so boring for American League fans, honestly. We don't need that. I'm going to go out of the East, and I'm going to say Charlotte. And I'm going to say Laval as well. It's like Travis was here for our original attempt at recording this and listened to what I said. I think Laval comes out of that in the East there and goes to the finals. They're a wagon this year. It's ridiculous. I know Charlotte's really good too, but Laval is on like a different level right now. In the West, I've got Grand Rapids and Colorado. I know it seems like it's easy to pick the number 1 seed there in the Pacific, but at the same time, I think Colorado is just a really good team. The only thing that could screw them over is injuries with the Avalanche and call-ups there. I just think they're ridiculous. I know Askarov's really good, and picking San Jose is a fun choice there. I think this is Colorado's year to do some damage. That team's riding an unbelievable high going into this with finishing the season with Gabriel Landeskog in the lineup. And you can't tell me some words of wisdom shared by him aren't going to carry into the playoffs here. And then my ideal final is obviously the Griffins going into that. Like, I agree with Nick. If they get past Milwaukee, they're going to win the whole dang thing. I think a Griffins-Laval final would be just incredible. The Detroit-Montreal ties there, I think it would just be a lot of fun for fans. And again, we know Van Andel in the finals gets packed. It's impossible to get a ticket for that. Everyone's going there. We've seen what it looks like in the Calder Cup finals, and the environment's insane. Laval also produces that. I think it would be one of the highest viewed Calder Cup finals, even with the stupidity of the schedule and everything else. If that scenario does happen, and God, it would just be so much fun to watch 2 incredibly talented teams like them go at it. And I know that's a lot of hope and prayer for being a homer here. And if the Griffins by chance didn't make it out of there, it'd be Milwaukee Laval. And I think Milwaukee would have a chance to win the Calder Cup, if I'm being honest, as much as that pains me to say. But those are my non-homer predictions.
You want a real homer prediction?
Yeah, what you got?
Griffins Monsters. And I'm going to every damn game.
I don't know if you'd be able to, Travis.
I got enough time off for work.
No, because I think the city of Toledo would need your help. because at that point, the
when the walleye win the cup,
yeah, the championship is that week.
We're gonna find Travis hungover in the Maumee River at that point.
Yeah, if they win the cup, I might have to take a week vacation just to recover from.
You're gonna find all of us down there at that point. The Griffins won't even know we exist because they'll still be probably in the third round.
Oh yeah, because this will still be going on. I just want to point one thing out too with this. Look at the bullshit involved here. You've got. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It's just the reality of the situation here. Look at the Pacific. You have one team with a bye, and then you what in the hell are we doing?
What are we doing with the divisional semifinals being a best of 5 and the division finals being a best of 5? Come on. Oh, anyway, we'll rant again if we go down that road. We're not going down that road. We've ranted enough in this show.
I've had to.
Yeah, it was necessary in this one, honestly. It was necessary to talk about because it's stupid. You're right. It's stupid. But let us know in the comments who you think will be in the Calder Cup finals, who's coming out of the conferences. I'm excited because there's a lot of different teams in there this year. You know, like even with a league where so many teams make it, with the 23 out of the 32 making the playoffs. Tucson making it is a fun one. You know, they pulled the NHL out of the desert, but there's still playoff hockey happening in the desert. That's a cool story.
Great,
but at the same time, great uniform. It's basically the Kachina ripoff, right?
Roadrunner Kachina.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And you know, you could see some surprises out of some of these divisions too. I think the best of 3 round, you kind of know who's going to come out of those most of the time. But when it starts to get down to the really nitty gritty of it all, I think we could see some fun matchups come out of this and some surprising teams. And who knows, like Nick said, he said Cleveland there in the East Finals. Like that legitimately could happen. They got a lot of guys back and the Marlies did not. Like that could go that way. So who knows? It's going to be fun. We'll update you every week, obviously, with the Griffins, but also what's happening around the league. So stay tuned for that. But I think at this point, it's time to end this episode because we tried to keep it an hour and the recording timer says an hour and 25. So I'm going to stop talking finally for everybody else's sanity here and end this show. So thank you all for tuning into our Griffins playoff preview. As we said before, stay tuned with us all playoff long for updates, post-game interviews when the Griffins are playing at home, and whatever other content and insight we can provide, we will. It's going to be fun. But before we end the show, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. Make sure when you're betting with DraftKings, you use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST. It saves a few bucks off your order and also supports the show. Go pick up some cool merch that they have over there right now. Tons of cool stuff and tons of deals. We love working with that company. It's probably one of our favorite ones to work with. But of course, without them, on top of our Patreon subscribers, the show would not be possible. And those Patreon subscribers currently are...
We've got Randy, Michael, Alan, Lori, Derek, Elaine, Griffin, John, Regan, Tyler, and Claire.
The list is getting so long, Nick needs to take a breath in the middle of reading it. Thank you all for the love and support over there. If you want to join them, head over to patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. We post unedited episodes over there. We do bonus episodes over there. We've clearly alluded to that there will be a bonus episode on how stupid the AHL divisions are lined up. That's definitely going to be a thing at some point later on, probably when the playoffs are done, because the playoffs are going to consume a lot of our time. But head over there. The tiers start at $1 a month to support the show, and you get a bunch of extra stuff. And we'll do giveaways over there too. We'll have some Griffins playoff tickets to give away. We'll probably never be able to give away Toledo playoff tickets because they're the hottest ticket in all of Ohio at this point in time. So sorry, Walleye fans, we can't hook you up there, but we'll try our best. But like I said, patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. Head over there and check out what we've got to offer. With that, everyone, until we talk again, hopefully to recap Game 1. We won't even have a Game 1 and 2 recap by the time the next show comes out. It'll be just a single game recap.
What a joke.
Until we talk again, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.